Hi, I'm Deb Brown with saveyour.town, and today I'm visiting with Mary Hodson, who is the president of the Hutchinson Area Chamber of Commerce. Hi,
Hi,
Mary.
Deb. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I'm glad to just have some conversation with you.
Yeah.
Let's start with what's going on in town.
Well, like most communities, we are managing through COVID-19. Unlike most communities, we started a very substantial Main Street reconstruction project 2 days ago on Monday. So
Oh
we have a
my.
couple of things going on right now.
So, would you call that good timing though? Because I know you were a little worried about the businesses that didn't want to get on board and start getting ready for this.
The process of getting prepared for the Main Street project was leading horse to water or maybe dragging them through the mud, and then they just stood there. We really started very early because we wanted people to be able to prepare financially and to take the time to really have opportunity to brainstorm and how are we going to manage this. And fear, as we've talked about in the past, can paralyze people. And so we maybe had 20%, maybe 10 to 20% who actually did any preparation. We probably had another 20 to 30% that didn't really need to do anything. They were already prepared to have back entrances or additional entrances available to customers. But then there was a whole slew of people that just, for whatever reason, whether they felt it was monetarily challenging or they didn't want to really know what was happening, right? There's people who, if it's better off that I don't know how bad my situation is, whether you're talking about ADA compliance or, what if there's something else structurally wrong with my building or my space. For whatever reason, we didn't have a lot of people doing that. However, come, the beginning of May, and all of a sudden that all changed. Everybody turned on a dime to manage with COVID. And so I say it's great to have it happening now because we have so many stores that are closed or limited capacity. And so this just feels kind of like a two for Deb, right?
Right.
You're closed and they're going to work on the road at the same time. And so you don't have to worry about that. And honestly, when things do start opening up again and it's just construction they're dealing with and they can be open for business, they're not going to worry anymore about that back door. They're not going to worry anymore about, is there access to my front, or people can't be out front of my building when they come here. And so, things work out the way they're supposed to, and we'll all make it through. And I guess that's, my message right now to people is we're in this together. That seems to be that, overriding theme right now, right? I use it in a hashtag, in this together, or in it together. I want us all to come out of it together.
I like that. Yes, I want us all to come out of it together too. And you and I both know that's not going to happen. You're going to have some businesses that close and don't reopen.
Yep.
And frankly, they probably were going to do that in 6 months anyway. And instead of just going in and dragging them along and they get more in debt, you're doing a favor to them by helping them close. As a
Yeah.
president, that's important to help people close.
I was in a Zoom class meeting this morning, and we were doing kind of how do you survive and how do you thrive? How do you survive what's happening, and then how do you thrive afterwards? And the reality is, and I was so pleased that this group of individuals who are in a leadership class right now were strong enough to be able to say, what does it look like if it's time to sunset? What is the exit strategy? Because for some people, they need to know what the exit strategy is. Let's face it, some people got into business not knowing what the entry opportunity was. They just knew that they had a passion for something. They didn't know anything about running a business. And so there's such a balance right now. There's a balance because people need empathy, people need understanding, but people also need truth. You need to know where you're at. And we've talked about it on the chamber side for chambers to know but every business should know, no matter if you consider yourself an organization, a service, a nonprofit, for-profit, it doesn't matter. You should know how long you can run your business without any income coming in. Because if you can't get a loan, if you don't have grants coming in, if you have membership or services or retail product, you need to know how long you can go or what you need at minimum to be able to sustain your overhead for a period of time. And that's not something everybody can do.
I know some that don't even know their overhead each month.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So starting
And
small with that small step, figuring that out is so important.
And again, you know, Deb, you and I have both worked with businesses over a number of years, and it's pretty easy. Honestly, I'm going to be honest. It's really pretty easy to know who's going to make it and who's not. And it all depends if you've got a business plan. You got to have a business plan, and then you got to work the plan. And then you've got to be able to pivot. I always say plot twist.
And, you know, I value business plans, but I like a business plan not necessarily written before you open, other than the generic, you know, the very generic stuff, but trying to determine what your income is when you don't know. Those kind of things, you can write the business plan as it happens.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. But there's a lot of businesses out there that don't actually understand the market that they're getting into. And this is not, I mean, COVID has taken us all by the suspenders, right? And it is pulled back and just snapped, right? Because none of us saw something like this coming, but yet shouldn't we be prepared? What if the situation gets worse? And that was the exercise we had this morning that I found so valuable, is that what if it gets worse? What's your plan if it gets worse? Do you know what that is? How can it get worse? It can. And those are the things that I think right now are really valuable to people. It doesn't mean you're going to do something differently, but at least you're making educated decisions as you move forward. And I think that would behoove a lot of people right now.
Yep, I agree. So we've talked about those that might not stay open. What about those businesses in Hutch that are doing well, staying open? What are their secrets? What kind of cool things are they doing to bring attention to their business, their product, while they're not even open?
Well, let me just say that first, Deb already knows this. The largest 3M manufacturing plant in North America is here in Hutchinson, Minnesota, and has been deemed essential. The work that they're doing is deemed essential. Now, they have sent home as many people as possible to work from home. They've always been pretty mobile. They've always been able to work remote if necessary. They all have laptops, but the production people don't. And they've even, in fact, sent people to Nebraska where they're pumping out N95s. I don't even have to tell anybody that's a mask, right? Because we know these things now, but PPE is really important, as is home stuff. Somebody goes, well, why do we need tape? Why is that essential? Well, if you go to the Ace Hardware store or Menards or any home improvement store right now, you're going to know that people are painting up a storm. They're doing home improvement projects. It's essential. So 3M doesn't have to necessarily be creative in that sense right now. They just need to be safe and keep their employees safe. Other businesses have turned on a dime and found ways to, one of my favorites is, of course, restaurants are closed to dine in. So we have our Main Street sports bar that is very well known for their pizza. They have take-home kits. So they just put the dough and your sauce and your cheese and your toppings in the box, give you instructions. You go home and make it with your family and cook it there. I think it's genius because people not only are looking to support businesses, but they're also looking for things to do. And if that can make you a couple of small pizzas or a large pizza for your family, and now you've got an activity for the family to do, I thought that was really brilliant. We have
idea.
a paint shop in town who started doing take-home kits. So you could take home a kit and make something cute for your home or a gift, doing online classes. So you can be pretty pretty flexible with what kind of material you have at home and create some art as well. And we have a lot of stores that have in the past couple of years started to segue to online options so they can hit a bigger base. And I think those are the ones who too, we have a lot to learn from because they are able to still ship and in some cases probably deliver right in town if somebody wants something. I mean, I'm not buying clothes right now, honestly. I mean, I need a new pair of sweatpants.
But somebody sells sweatpants where you live.
I know, right? But you know, those are the things that we really have some good businesses that remind people, hey, I know that we're not open right now, but you can help by ordering a gift card or prepaying your next hair visit. Those are things that people can do, and thinking local right now is so important for people to be doing, and thinking, how am I going to, I don't need to order everything online. Not every community has everything, but think locally before you click, because a lot of times you can click locally, you can go pick it up the same day or pick it up the next day. Gets you out of the house, at least gets your card moving once a week, right?
Right.
And so those are things that we try to share with other people. Here's the things that are working. There's no need to reinvent the wheel because there's so many good things are going on out there.
So who has become in your community the place to go to find all the resources? Has anybody stepped up to do that? Traditionally, that's kind of chamber ED, but this is so different. This is not traditional. And your knowledge of the federal stuff is different than your knowledge of the local stuff. So has anybody brought everything together?
So we have links to everything on our website. Okay. Of course, the county health has stuff on theirs, but we've linked everybody to everything. And for the first couple of weeks, it really was the chamber that was, here's the links to the federal, here's the links to the state. Then it was to the city. We have the city page on there always, but really the city's job right now is to make sure that the city is running. And pretty much everybody knows right now that you can go to the chamber and get information. P.S. You can go to the chamber and get free food, because we had a huge, less than 48 hours, we had a huge food drive for Michael Foods in Gaylord, donated thousands and thousands of dollars of food, and we had 2,000 cars come through in 4.5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's things like that. People are calling us to find out where can I get masks? How do I find a mask? Who can make me a mask? People are calling us to find out where are the grants and loans available? How do I get my child's daycare paid for, because I still have to pay for daycare, but my child is high risk and can't go to daycare. You know, helping people navigate the different pieces and parts. And my gosh, some people just really need the oil in their car changed, you know, so we're still kind of that one-stop shop, and we're proud to do it. The unique part right now for us is now that the construction has started, that puts a little, you know, you can't drive the same way, you can't, and we're not going to be able to for a while. But we're still smiling.
Yes, that's right. And you'll know how to get from point A to point B eventually anyway, if you're doing all these things that you do in the community, which is awesome. I love the food drive thing. That's amazing. So how are people that need that food? Did it go to your food banks, or is it still in your office? How are they getting access?
No, literally they brought up 5 semi-trucks.
My, okay.
And then unloaded it and then started packing it up. There was 45 pounds of food that everybody got. And literally we had less than 48 hours, Deb, from the time that we knew they were coming to the next day when we were going to start. I mean, so it was really 24 hours, 30 hours, something like that. But we had a huge social media push. We went out to the radio. We went out to newspaper. We sent to key people that we knew could get information to families that would need the food. our Facebook share was like 11,000 in a community of 14,000. And we had 200 shares of that post.
Wow.
I mean, you can't ask for, the only thing that could have gone better is we could have chosen a different parking lot, but we had no idea what we were getting into. I'm so grateful. The police were so helpful to us. They didn't know either. And so we had to kind of turn on a dime. They did brilliantly, as they always do. And it was a great opportunity. Actually, I had several people comment about, it was nice to see life in Hutch again, right? Because even though you couldn't high five, you couldn't hug, you were still in this line, this double line that went for a half a mile. Downtown city streets into this parking lot where there was some wackadoodle who was dancing and keeping vehicles coming through and opening doors, and somebody's putting food in and closing the door again. That felt really good. And it felt good to do something that people were grateful for, that people thanked you for. There were people who were crying. There were people who were just beaming. There were people saying, can I take this to my sister's group home? Yes. You can. Can I help my neighbor who's stuck at home? Yes, you can. And, you know, one of the things, you've run events, right? We have a huge event in the fall. It's the Arts and Crafts Festival. And so people from out of town always comment about how well our police work with us. This was an opportunity for our community to see their police working so well. And there were so many comments and compliments like that. And that, by the time I got home, I was in tears of gratitude, because it was something that I clearly needed for my heart. And so many people needed and appreciated the food. And I think that's just an opportunity for us to show what we can do, because we are a convener, we are a connector for the community. And that was something that we could do because we had the resources available to us to make it happen very quickly. And there were a lot of people who, honestly, there's still so many people that don't know what the chamber is or does. We're part of the city, we're part of, you know, something, they don't know. And there were so many people who were like, thank you for doing this. And you're with the chamber? Yes, we're with the chamber. We're happy that you were able to come out and get some food today. Those are wins.
Those are big wins. Those are wins all the way around. The people that got the food got to see your graciousness, your kindness, and you were able to give graciousness and that kindness back to your community.
And they got
and
to
with
see
no money.
dance moves. I mean, that's important.
Yeah, all of your great dance moves. I know some of those moves, right?
Yeah.
So what's next? What do you think the future is going to look like?
So I don't think that we're going to go back to what, you know, when everybody says when we go back to normal, we're not going to go back to normal.
No.
I think that we're going to be very fortunate we came into this slowly, at least in the state of Minnesota. It was little by little that things kind of rolled out until we were at a stay-at-home order. I think that we're going to see that. We're already talking about how can we get businesses and people in business back in, but doing it in a social distancing safety manner, right? We can open up more stores. We can open up more opportunity for curbside pickup and for delivery of items. There's a lot of opportunity there. I would hope that if I saw you in August, I could give you a hug and not feel like, oh, sorry, Deb, right? But I think that businesses now need to be thinking about how are they going to thrive in the future? How are they going to react when the doors are open again? What's their supply chain look like? How are they going to get the product that they need, whether they're a restaurant or they're a service or they're a clothing store or whatever you are? They need to start looking at those things now, and how does that ramp back up? And if you've had to lay off or furlough people, are they coming back? Have they already gone and found jobs? Because right now, like in a lot of places, there's still businesses that are thriving. They are doing just fine, or they're way up here, right? If banks had time to hire, they probably would hire right now, because our banks are just slammed with the SBA's PPP, their payroll protection plan right now.
Yep.
And so, you know, just being able to take that time to be able to do that, But also, if you're not working right now in your business, this is the perfect time to work on your business. It's perfect time to work on succession planning. And when I say succession planning, Deb, I'm not saying who's going to take over for you. Is your 3-year-old going to take over for you in 50 years? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, and I'm talking from personal experience, going through an activity for which everyone in our office actually proceduralized, that's Mary's word, everything they do. Everything that you do on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, annual basis. Everything got written down. So when there was a change in our staffing, that person didn't have to freak out. I only have 2 weeks to leave everything I know on the table. It was a much easier transition for them. And then when somebody was coming in to take their place, I didn't have to worry that I have been quick updated at all the newest and then have to regurgitate it again. And that, I will say, in the 7.5 years that I have been with the chamber, the smartest thing we've ever done. And I'm so grateful. And if more people had that opportunity to understand, I call it the if Mary gets hit by a bus file, right?
Yes.
But best practice in the chamber world, and it should be for anybody, if something happens to the main person, what's going to happen the next day? How does somebody get into Mary's computer the next day? Someone has to have that key or that nugget of information so they can sit down at Mary's desk and it's all right there for them. And that was really, really important for us. And it's a great time to do it. If you don't have policies for things, and you might be a small business, but even a small business should have a donation policy. I will get on that soapbox and pound and pound. You need to have a donation policy. I believe in this very, I cannot tell you how many times I've heard of businesses who have struggled. So it's all these opportunities that you have if you've got this time right now to use to plan what's going to happen when you open back up. Can I open back up? Have a good understanding of where you are financially. What does your overhead look like? That's great that if you're getting your rent deferred, but you still got to pay it eventually. So what is that going to look like? Are you going to end up with a balloon payment that you can't do anyway? Or
you can't pay, yeah.
You can't pay. Is it better that you just pay now, right? Can you pay at this time? Just because it's deferred doesn't mean that that has to be what you do. If you have your taxes deferred, but you can pay them now, it's April 15th, today when we're recording this, pay them. Because otherwise you're going to end up with so many other things in this balloon time period that's going to be really stressful as well.
Yeah. I get that. That's true. And it's a good time to get to know your market too. I am constantly surprised by the number of businesses that don't know who could be shopping at their store, not should, but could be shopping at their store and buying their products. So it's a good time to start looking at who are the kind of people that buy what I sell.
Yeah.
And is my market big enough? Do I need to go online? What would that look like? Or maybe I need to switch some things up. What are people buying in Hutchinson, Minnesota?
Right.
You know?
If you're going to carry larger women's sizes, if you're online always showing a size 0 model, there's a disconnect there, right? Because I'm not a size 0, just saying. But that's what I see online all the time. I don't even know that you have anything in there because I feel like that's not where you're at. So you need to make sure that you're aligned with your avatar, as we call it, your market customer. And you might have more than one market customer, but you need to know that and have them identified, because we know that you're going to get a market segment that are going to find you on Snapchat and Instagram and Facebook, not even Facebook, TikTok. You got another group over here you're going to find on Twitter and Facebook. There's some people who are looking at the paper and listening to the radio and still watching my TV show. You got to know where they're at. And honestly, Deb, you can ask.
Yeah.
How do you get the information about our store? Do you get it from Facebook? Do you get it from Instagram? Oh no, there was a little thing in the paper I saw.
And maybe you
That
need
one
to
little
be
thing might have been, you might have just thrown the bone at the newspaper for $50. But if that brings you in 10 people,
there's your market. Yeah.
there's
And
a new market for you.
and it's also a great time to be learning the tools. It is not time to be afraid of, how do I use YouTube? How do I use Zoom? Oh, I can't do that. That's past my bandwidth. No, it's not.
No, it's not.
Do not
No.
be afraid. Learn. There are so many, both visual and reading and listening. There are so many different instructions available for free on how to use the tools out there.
Yeah. I actually use you, Deb, as an example. Someone said, oh, well, I'm over a certain age and I can't learn that technology stuff. And I go, let me tell you about my friend Deb. You're full of crap, because Deb can do more than I can do. Deb, if you're watching this for the first time and you haven't met Deb, well, I'm just saying she's a rock star and she teaches me stuff all the time.
Oh, thanks, Mary.
It's true. I learn from you on the regular, but you are legendary that way.
Well, thank
See
you.
what I did there?
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that if you've done the research for your market and you know who the people are and who you want the people to be, now you have to find the tools that they're using to find you. So that's why it's so important to know who your market is, and then you build so that you can reach them.
And there's so many resources now out there. Sometimes you do want to be careful about who you're actually following out there, but there are so many brick and mortar businesses that you can go to that are going to help you. So we have Initiative Foundations in Minnesota, and they will help you start a business. They will literally walk you through step by step and tell you what you have to do. Now you have to go do it, but they will help you through what those steps are, so you have a business plan, so you know what your market is or what your market share could be. Or is there a saturation, and even though you like to make this widget, there's already a bazillion kinds of this widget and it doesn't really make sense, right? I mean, you got to learn those kind of things. That's out there. And if you're not sure where to start, go to your chamber. Your chamber is the one who convenes. Your chamber is the one that knows a guy, who knows a girl, who knows a somebody. They're the connectors. And that's what we do. That's what we do best. We will connect you with the answer. I have 3 calls out today working on questions for people that they can't find the answer. I sure as heck don't know the answers to everything.
But you know how to find them.
But I can find them.
Yeah.
And I can, what some people can do in 10 phone calls, I can do in 1 phone call. And I take great pride in that. Let me do this for you, because it's so much easier for me to do in this little bit of time than for you to chase your tail while you're trying to do all these other things. That's really important to me, because at the chamber, we look at ourselves as we're an extra staff member for you.
That's brilliant, because you, in your chamber, you really are. And I see more and more chambers becoming that, looking towards the future, which is a brilliant thing. And if you don't get the help, for those listening, that you need at your local chamber, just keep going. Find out who's economic development. Find out if the principal at the school knows anything. Do not hesitate to introduce yourself to people and ask them what you need to know, because people want to help.
The other thing that I've really kind of latched onto, and I've been giving newer businesses, helping them find a mentor who's maybe not making the same widget, but is in the same kind of situation before they start making widgets. Somebody who's gone on. So we've been able to connect a couple of people in particular who are in small manufacturing and, have started in the garage. I said, go talk to Brett over at Stampin' Storage. Go reach out to him, because he started with a honey-do list in the garage. And now he's got, 30, 40 employees, and, he's been in Money Magazine. Go talk to him, because he's the one who's already jumped off the cliff, left a job as an engineer to make scrapbooking supply holders. Who knew? Go talk to these people who have that experience. Maybe it's somebody that you've admired in your community, always felt like, wow, they've always got their stuff together. gonna tell you, we always make it look good on the outside. But everybody understands the struggles. The struggles are real, and everybody has them. It's just that everybody deals with them differently. So go find that mentor for yourself. And Deb's right. If you're not finding it with your chamber, your EDA, go to the principal, go to the superintendent, go to the city. Everybody's connected somehow.
Yeah. Go to
But I'm
somebody
hoping
that
it's
has
your
a
chamber.
successful business. Yeah, we hope it is your chamber. My heart lies there for sure. Well, I think we covered everything we need to cover, don't you?
I think that we've covered a lot today.
Definitely. I want to thank you, Mary, for your time, spending your time visiting with me on Zoom, first of all, but also sharing just a minuscule portion of what you have in your brain. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. For you, Deb, I'll do anything, anytime. Almost. Almost. I won't jump in the back of a vehicle, though.
So here we go. I'll talk to you later.